Today we are going to be dropping the LTT motor out of the C8 Corvette. So we're going to start by putting it up on a lift, and to start with we're going to be using these jack pads, pucks, whatever you want to call them. They will go between the frame and the lift on the car. Keep in mind the motor's on the back of this car, so in this case we just simply brought the car in reverse. So let's get this thing jacked up and get going. We should always start by disconnecting the battery. Alright, it is disconnected. Okay, we are now in the trunk. We're going to remove the carpet, and there should be an access panel back here so we can get to the air box, so we can remove the air box. Okay, now that we have it on the lift, we will show you the underneath carriage for the people that have not seen under the C8. The engine plate cover. We'd like to mention there is a lot of bolts that hold all these covers in place. Now we will remove the fender wells. Okay, we are now going to go ahead and take the calipers off, and we're going to hang them for now. Okay. Two different lengths. Long one goes in the front. Now the short one. Another long one. And all of them have a washer on the back side of the control room. Go. Set it down.
There we go.
Okay, now that Devin has the plate removed, it is time to remove the PCM. Caitlin, if you don't mind, can you pull these down while I try to pull it out? Alright, there you go. If you don't mind, just disconnect the harness from there. So this is the world's famous computer that apparently no one's been able to crack open for tuning yet. We're just going to simply disconnect the harness so we can move it out of the way for now. We are now removing the AC compressor. Okay, finally time to start getting the fluids out of this thing. And hopefully we can drop this motor down here shortly. Okay, now that we have all the coolant drained, we are going to drain the oil. Very long plug. As you can see, we definitely see it's a long one. Alright, we'll let that drain, put the plug back in, and then we'll attempt to start lowering the engine down. This scissor lift here is definitely the tool you want when it comes time to removing these engines out of the C8. Okay, finally time to take the engine cradle bolts out. Alright, finally made it to the fun part. Okay, let's take a closer look at what we have here. Besides a really huge muffler, here is the dual clutch transmission with the cooler mounted on top of it. The huge catalytic converters, which should not have any problems with restriction. The intake that we all know about, at least the cover. If you look here, there's two wideband O2s in the exhaust. That's a really good thing for tuning, keeping that air fuel correct. Come around the side here, we will notice that the ignition coils are now mounted underneath the manifolds. This keeps it very clean looking and away from the exhaust manifolds, of course. These are dry sump engines, therefore this silver tank to the right front is where all the oil is stored. That's actually just a heat shield. And as you notice, the exhaust manifolds as well are definitely covered in plenty of heat shields. And the empty hole now that we have is also insulated very well, as you can see. Okay, I guess we can start tearing this baby down. We will start by removing this big muffler. Removing the heat shields. Looks like a normal header underneath the heat shields. Okay, we are now removing the crankcase ventilation lines and the intake cover so we can get to the actual intake manifold under here. So this is how the intake really looks. Since we have these valve covers off now, what is everyone's thoughts about maybe color matching them to the car? Now that Devin is removing the spark plugs, I'm going to go ahead and start on removing the fuel lines and fuel rails. Sorry about our dog in the background whining. I think he's a little jealous that we're giving the Corvette more attention than he's getting. Can anyone guess how much fuel pressure are in these lines and fuel rails? This tri-stock is normally anywhere between 2,000 pounds to 2,600 pounds, and it is not uncommon for us to turn these things up to 3,000 plus pounds when we're tuning them. We are now removing these fuel rails and injectors. If you notice, these injectors are underneath the rail. That's because these things are going directly into the cylinder. This is why we need so much fuel pressure now to overcome the cylinder pressure. Also, these stock injectors are probably in the area of around 120 pound an hour injector, much larger than what we're used to using in a 500-600 horsepower motor. This is because the duration we have to get the fuel in these cylinders is much, much tighter. Is that all in? All right. Deb, can you put these over? We are now removing all 16 rock-ons and push rods. Same thing. Okay, now that we have the passenger side head off, we're going to move over to the driver's side head. Just like the LT1s and LT4s, we got one Allen head bolt in the very front. So we're taking this one out with the Allen head stop. And then we'll change over to the normal 15 millimeter. And now we have both heads removed. Devin is now going to suck all of the fluid out of all the holes for the head bolts. This is very important. And you want to guess at what happens if you leave one of these holes full of fluid and put the head bolt back in? That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Now that you have seen and watched the video of us taking the engine out and tearing it part way down, is it easier to guess at what mods we are doing? Make sure to like, follow, and hit the notification button so you don't miss part 2